I'm James Spann. This is the afternoon edition of the Weather Xtreme video. This is for Tuesday, the 22nd of June. It's hot today, going to be hot tomorrow. Hey, it's going to be hot for a while. This is summer. The big question is always the placement and the coverage of showers and storms in the afternoon in the tropics this time of the year. And let's take a look. First off, the Skycam shots. These captured about 2:30. That is the view coming from Mount Cheehaw. What a beautiful place to be if you've never been there. And it's cooler up there in the summer. They're at about 2,400 feet elevation. And often when folks are baking in the 90s down below, they are in the 80s. In fact, they've only got 85 up there at 2 o'clock with a cumulus field around. From the Birmingham Metro, that's the Inverness Skycam that's on top of the Wingate Inn, overlooking traffic on Highway 280. And pretty much the same sky from Jasper up in Walker County. That's the view from the King Building in downtown Jasper. Well, we've got a heat ridge. You know that. Stretches all the way across the southern U.S., kind of a ring of fire thing going. Around the periphery of that, storms on the northern part of the heat ridge moving to the east. Storms below the heat ridge moving to the west. And there's a little crook in that thing over Alabama, and the storms today moving northwest, actually. And look at that. Not as hot as recent days at 2 o'clock. Birmingham only at 88. Hey, it's a cool wave. Well, let's don't go that far. The reason for that, the moisture is deeper through the atmospheric column. And we see that in the morning soundings. Little differences can make a difference in heat, in thunderstorm coverage, and all of that. But moist air does not heat as effectively as dry air. So accordingly, not as hot today. But the dew points are a tad higher, so it kind of works out the same. There's the radar at 225. And we've got thunderstorms developing from near Clanton and Maplesville down to Marion, Demopolis, York, Livingston. And those are moving northwest, meaning maybe Tuscaloosa, Brent, Greensboro. Utah could catch a storm this afternoon, and also a few others forming in Calhoun and Cleburne counties. So sure, we'll mention isolated storms this evening. And like any summer evening, those can pack a punch where they form. But all of the organized severe weather is way up north. We've got a severe thunderstorm watch up for parts of Wyoming, Montana, and the Dakotas, and this one that is up for parts of Illinois and Indiana. And we got a big moderate risk up there. Look at that. Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, Minnesota. Potential for tornadoes and damaging winds with storms up in there. And surrounding that, the standard risk all the way from Cheyenne, Wyoming to New York City, Atlantic City, Washington, D.C., and Baltimore. And tomorrow, a moderate risk from Chicago to Detroit. And surrounding that, a slight risk all the way from near Amarillo to almost Boston. Here's the QPF chart. Expected rain for the next 5 days, valid through Sunday morning at 7 o'clock. And you know I say it every time, and people always ask, why do you show this if you don't like them? Well, a lot of people watch this that are not from where we are, that are up north. And again, you've got the most organized heavy rain up north under the storm track. And around here, we'll have scattered afternoon storms. And rainfall distribution will be horribly uneven, and trying to draw a map this time of the year for us, just impossible to do. Not the QPF, the hurricane outlook, tropical weather outlook. We've still got the wave in the Caribbean. The guys have downgraded it somewhat in terms of the probability of that thing developing down to 20%, in that there is a little zone of higher shear in advance of that. There's the shear analysis, and at the moment it's in a zone of light shear, but the shear does pick up to about 30 and 40 knots down there just on the other side of Jamaica, and it's got to get through that. But once it clears through that, the shear lightens up again over the southern Gulf. And boy, one thing for sure, the water's warm. No doubt about that. That is latent heat energy ready to be tapped. It's stored up. Hurricanes feed off that. And the models that identify the system have shifted a little farther south. They've got it now, many of them coming across the tip of the Yucatan up into the western Gulf. And that shift to the left is also true of the GFDL. This has been the most aggressive model with this. This is valid at 126 hours. That's the 27th of June. And it's got that thing located over the western Gulf of Mexico as a Category 1 hurricane. And again, that would be moving up toward the western Gulf, maybe the Gulf Coast of Texas or far southwest Louisiana. But as we talked about this morning, this is voodoo. This will change again. The system's not even on the board. but just something that bears watching if you got interest on the Gulf Coast. Let's check the GFS run. This is the 12Z run, valid at 1 o'clock tomorrow, Wednesday, about 18,000 feet up at 500 millibars. That old 594 circle, that's a hot ridge all the way from Phoenix to Savannah. So tomorrow should be a lot like today, low to mid-90s. Storms will be isolated. They'll be out there. Same thing Thursday. Heights not changing a lot. Friday, the heights coming down ever so slightly, just a very slight change. All of the active westerlies are up north, and down below that, a moisture axis here, so some spots should see a shower or storm. Same thing Saturday. If you got weekend plans, we see nothing out of the ordinary. Partly sunny, hot, humid. The chance of scattered afternoon and evening showers and storms. Probably low 90s with this setup, and the same thing on Sunday. Monday of next week, June the 28th, look at the trough beginning to form over the east, and by golly, on Tuesday the 29th, a week from today, there's a trough over the east. The heat ridge pushes to the west, and a surface boundary gets down to the Tennessee Valley. The air noticeably cooler up north. And, of course, we're not going to get that cooler air, but the boundary could very well enhance the convection here and knock the numbers down. And, again, you know, this will probably change again, but the idea of that, there's been some fairly decent consistency. And again, it's interesting if by chance there is a system in the Gulf, and if by chance there is a trough over the east, that will pull that tropical system northeast up this way. So, again, a lot of players in the field, but just too early to make the call. We'll go to the end of the forecast on July 8th, and much of the country with light and variable winds aloft, and looks pretty quiet out there based on this run. That's it for the Weather Xtreme video today. We'll have notes on the blog. The next video here by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And if you're local to us, we invite you to watch us on television this evening, ABC 3340 in Birmingham at 5, 6, and 10. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening, and God bless.